Happy New Year.
Yeah, Happy New Year. This will be like that. We're talking to the future, you know. Hopefully it's better than what's going on now. I doubt it.
I doubt it. Yeah, I doubt it.
You know, the way things are projecting, because it's feeling rough. I put in a new segment. I don't know if we're gonna keep it or what, but we have a mental health check-in later on. Because buddy, it has not been a great month. Yeah, but I'm gonna try to put a fun spin on that one. We'll see if it works. We'll see. But yeah, hello, it's the Dead End Road Show, episode 35. It's Bill and Ian. We're hanging out. Yeah, we're
hanging out and hanging on.
Hanging out and hanging on. Yeah, it's the end of the year when we're recording, so we're just kind of fucking around. We're gonna be talking about a movie that we mentioned last week, Last Duel. Yeah, not getting into anything too deep, I guess, this week, because I can't look at the internet right now. It's really bad. So I haven't been doing my deep dives. So we'll be getting back into that in the coming weeks and stuff.
Wait, so what is it exactly that's gotten you to avoid the internet, apart from just like, you know, the obvious stuff?
It's the obvious stuff.
Okay.
It's the obvious stuff. It's the Omicron and the reaction to it. It's the CDC bullshit. It's the inaction. It's the collapse of the healthcare system. It's you know, a generalized depressive disorder. Like
Yeah, that's all fair. Yeah. Yeah, the CDC choosing to prioritize the economy over the health of people really got me.
At the behest of the Delta Airlines CEO.
It's brutal.
Yeah. It's fun. It's fun stuff.
I called into one of my doctor's offices.
Oh, you too? You too?
Well, I called in today because I'm supposed to schedule an appointment, and I was just waiting on like a shipment. They had to get something in for me. And so I wanted to check the status of it. Mm-hmm. But I was put on hold immediately, and then I was transferred automatically to a separate office. And that person told me, like, they are, like, short-staffed across the board, basically. Mm-hmm. And that, you know, basically good luck getting in touch, and also maybe try again in the new year.
It's remarkable. Do we just want to do my thing now then?
Might as well. If you know, it fits what we're talking about, I'm sure. So
I needed to refill my prescriptions because I was off of them for about a week, and we had recorded. I guess it would have been last week's. Was it? I can't remember. Maybe it was the week before where I was off of them. So if I seemed off, it was because I was off. So I had called them to be like, "Hey, can I get a refill?" And they're like, "Nah, man. No. You gotta come in and see us." And I'm like, "Okay, fine. Can I make an appointment?" Nah. You just gotta come in and show up because it's an urgent care. Mm-hmm. So even though that they, like, my doctor takes appointments, he either did not have any available or he was not taking appointments. They did not explain. I was basically rushed off the phone. So they would not give me my prescriptions or an appointment. And it is also a COVID testing site. So I knew that they would be fucking swarmed really badly.
If you're still going to the same place that I think you are, the last time I was there, you have to wait outside in the freezing colds.
Yes.
Before you can actually get in.
Yes. So that is what I had to do on like the 21st of December. Mm-hmm. So I had to wait outside in a line. They have two lines. They have a line for if you're getting a COVID test. And then they have a line for if you're not getting a COVID test.
When I was there, somebody in one of those lines had to like basically take charge and tell everyone which was which because there was nobody working like outside, so you didn't know which line you were getting into.
Yes, that is the case where they actually had somebody working that was doing that job saying, are you here for a COVID test or are you not here for a COVID test? Mm-hmm. Which amounts to the same thing because people will just get into one of the lines not knowing what line is what because there's no signage or whatever. Because it's outside, like what you know. So yeah, I'm standing outside. The line is not moving. It's been like 45 minutes.
Oh, wow.
They're telling people that are getting into the COVID line that they are not taking any more people for COVID tests. But at the same time, the COVID line keeps getting longer, which I don't understand how, like, what the logistics of that are. So the COVID people are going in. The people that don't need the COVID tests are not going in. We're stuck outside. And I am at a precarious mental place where I'm starting to lose it. And I went with my mom because I was in a not so good mental place. So I just start saying wild shit out loud in the COVID line, or not in the line. And I'm just like, well, this is we should just leave. Like I'm losing my mind. Like, this is how you drive people crazy. This is how you do it. This is, like, I'm just like saying all this shit out loud. And it's like, this is how they, like, this is how you start creating killers. Like, this is how you do it. Like
oh no.
Yeah, no, I'm like losing it. I'm really losing it. Because this line is not moving. It's not moving at all. Nobody from our line is getting inside to see a doctor. And so then we decide to call the place that we're at to be like, hey, can you just give us the pills so we can leave? Because we can't get inside the building. Like, you won't let us in. And they're like, nah, they just won't give the prescription.
Right.
So we're stuck there. And I'm just telling them, I was like, let's leave. Like, we're not getting in. This is ridiculous. It's been an hour. We're not getting in. And I just start saying, like, increasingly crazier things. Like, I can't even remember. I was just honestly losing it. I was like, and the COVID line kept getting longer. And then our line finally starts moving. But then at the same time, you're converging into the COVID line. You're getting closer and closer to the COVID people, which is like, it's so crazy to me that you're getting closer and closer to the COVID people. Like, it converges. And so then it's like, I'm going here to keep myself from basically not dying, because the further away from the prescription I get, the closer I get to being suicidal is the real truth of it. And so I need these pills so I don't die, because I'm already like on no sleep. Like my brain is zapping at a ridiculous level. I've told you about this. I haven't talked about this on a recording probably, but there's a thing if you're on selective serotonin reuptake inhibitors, where if you stop taking them or you miss a dose, you get this real fun thing called brain zaps, where if you move your eyeballs in any way that is not straight ahead of you, you get these electrical impulses in your head that feel like weird zapping. So I have not been on my pills for a week plus at this point. And so my brain is just firing neurons like crazy. So that's happening. I'm on no sleep. I'm saying increasingly crazy shit. I sound like one of those dudes with the, like, Jesus is coming signs, like in New York City. I'm getting increasingly louder. Like every time I'm like, just like my voice, the volume is getting louder and louder with each thing I decide to say. I'm also texting my sister and like ranting about Joe Biden to her. Like I'm like really having like a manic episode in the line, and I feel like I'm gonna get COVID. I'm going to get COVID. It's happening. It's going to happen. I'm like getting more and more paranoid. So all of this is happening. This line is finally moving. And then I finally get into the doctor's office. Okay. So then there's still a line. So then you're near all the people who are then waiting for a COVID test inside. So then you have to say why you're there. I'm here for prescription refills, blah, 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 blah. For some reason, they tell me that my primary care doctor is wrong, and that this is my fault for some reason.
Well, this is a place that has a bunch of doctors on staff, right? So like whoever you have named on your card isn't necessarily who you're going to see.
Yeah. So, like, the name on my insurance card is whoever my insurer gave me. And I never see that person. I have no idea who that person is. I just, because I talked to my insurance company about that, and they just said, oh, yeah, it doesn't matter as long as the address is the same. Like, just so we bill them. I'm like, okay, fine. But for whatever, the office is like, oh, now this is suddenly an issue. After I've been going there for years with this insurance now.
Well, I'll tell you, the doctor's name on my card, I didn't realize this until recently, but he was retired for an entire year. So I had to get that changed.
Yeah. So they're now telling me it's like, well, this person is a physician's assistant. And I'm like, okay, well, I didn't pick them. And they're like, okay, well, here is this tiny little literally a scrap of paper, like you would give to like a kindergartner, like for like some kind of arts and crafts homework thing. Like it's literally like a slice of an 8.5 by 11 like copier paper. Here, take this and call your insurance company and tell them to change it, and then bring this back the next time you come.
But they were still seeing you that day, though.
Yes.
Okay, I was about to say like. But
I'm like, okay, so you want me to hold on to this piece of paper for at minimum 3 months? Okay, sure. Like I just didn't understand why this was a problem all of a sudden. Like
can't physician's assistants pretty much do everything regular doctors can? Like they can fill,
I've seen physicians. Yeah, I've seen physician's assistants for refills.
Yeah,
like it's just ridiculous. Oh, and even before this, I'm still in the middle of losing it because this is before I even get to the counter to like tell them why I'm there.
Of course,
because there's a screen with like that tells you the doctors that are on staff and their hours, whatever. And I'm like, oh, see, this is a problem. There's only 3 doctors here. Like, it's the holiday. This must be nice. They could take time off, and there's people here like they're just leading us to the slaughter here. Like, I'm saying all this shit out loud. I'm truly losing my goddamn mind. But yeah, it was kind of ridiculous how there was only 3 doctors and there's usually like 10. And they were clearly really understaffed. And because it's like, what do they expect? There's a new fucking variant of COVID. And it's like, oh, okay, it's a holiday, so like all this shit's just gonna take a break. Like,
yeah, it's a rough time. Like, yeah, the variant spreads faster than any previous ones, and everybody wants to get tested because they're seeing people, family and stuff on the holidays. So it's like all converges at once.
Yeah. And so then they're like, okay, you could have a seat. There are 4 seats. Like every time I go here, they keep like, it's like the weirdest game of musical chairs. They keep taking chairs away from the waiting area. Like there are fewer and fewer chairs each time I go. There are like 4 seats and they're all taken. So they say take a seat, and of course it means stand around. And so I'm standing near all the other people that are there for the COVID test. So it's like, okay, this sucks. I'm surrounded by all this disease. Like I'm going to get COVID here. I'm going to get COVID. And I know, like, it feels like such a real fear because, like, somebody's coughing, and in 2019, I went here to get refills, and I came away with the flu. So, like, I'm going to get COVID. I'm going to get it. I'm going to get it from here.
Yeah, like one thing that sucks about this whole ordeal too is, and I know this is how the system works, and there are reasons you can't just like call up and get a prescription and stuff like that, but like you're going here as a formality basically because you're going to see a doctor for like 2 seconds and he's going to be like, and they're going to be like, check in with you, ask you like 2 questions and then give you a prescription and move on.
Yes, my visits are so short because it's so rare that I change anything. Like the longest visits are like the yearly ones where the doctor asks for an EKG and they have to put all the electronic leads on my fat flabby body. Like that is the longest the appointment is. And so they finally take me back to a quote unquote room, which is just curtained off section, and you're waiting and you get to hear everybody else's business, and I'm literally surrounded by people that are there. Like, so apparently they were not doing, like, they stopped doing COVID tests, but if you were in the other line because you, like, our line, and wanted to see a doctor because you were feeling sick, then they would just give you a COVID test anyway to rule out COVID. So we were surrounded by people that had COVID symptoms trying to see if they had COVID. So I'm surrounded by COVID, all because I need refills on the prescriptions so I don't do something crazy.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm sitting there just losing it, trying to think about not, catching this disease, because all that's between me and COVID is my thin little mask and the thin little sheet around me. And I don't know, maybe I'm all blown it all out of proportion, whatever, but there's all these people coughing and talking about their symptoms, and I could hear every fucking thing, and it was not a fun time. And then I see the doctor, and the doctor's like, okay, you need the refills? I'm like, yes, please, God in heaven. I'm like, okay, fine, no problem. The doctor was very nice. I hadn't seen this doctor before. I didn't see my regular doctor because he wasn't there. I was going to literally see anybody. I would have seen a fucking veterinarian if they would have given me the pills. And then they're like, oh, yeah, we're just going to do blood work because last time your cholesterol was kind of high. And I'm like, oh, was it? Because nobody fucking told me that. Seriously, they no one has told me that my cholesterol was high. It's like, yeah, you've had some issues with cholesterol before. And I'm like, what? They have never told me that, ever.
So they wrote it down clearly, but they didn't tell you.
Yeah. So I'm like, what the fuck is this? Like, this sucks. This whole thing sucks. Like, that's kind of the whole point of getting the test done, is that you tell me if there's some kind of issue.
Mm-hmm.
And then you don't. So then I thought everything was cool. Like, literally, whenever I get the tests back, they always say normal. So when was it high? When did that happen?
Yeah, right.
Like, oh my God. Anyway, to make this, I finally get the prescription or whatever. And then the pharmacy is going to fill it or whatever. They ran out of one of them. So I couldn't even get that one filled to make that worse. And then the real kicker to this whole fucking thing. I know nobody cares about this. This is my own fucking dementia. What day was it? It was I guess it was Monday? No, it was Sunday. No, it was Sunday. Sunday I woke up feeling like I had a fever, which was really fun. So my mom had bought a bunch of COVID tests because it's like, oh, I guess we need these around the house now. And also, so I took my temperature before that. And it was basically, it was pretty much, it was like 101.9. So it was basically 102 fever, which is pretty high for me. And so it's like, well, fuck, I got COVID there. And as soon as I saw that I had a high fever and it wasn't like 99 or whatever, I was like, I got COVID there. I got COVID and I fucking knew it. And I'm launching into this whole tirade again because this is like me only being on like a few days of my pills. So I'm still kind of like out of it and like getting back into the swing of trying to be, calm and back to being rational. So I'm like still readjusting.
Sure.
So I'm still like I can fly off the handle. So
are you not home alone at this point? Didn't your parents go to
they didn't leave
family and stuff?
No, they hadn't left yet.
Oh, they hadn't left yet. Okay.
No. So I'm like fucking flipping out. I'm like, see, I fucking knew it. They gave me COVID there. They wouldn't just give me the prescriptions. Like, if they gave me COVID, I'm gonna fucking sue them out of oblivion. I'm gonna find a lawyer. I'm gonna fucking ruin them. Like,
yeah, that's not how that works.
I didn't in the moment. I didn't give a shit. I didn't give a
course.
shit. I still don't give a shit to a degree. And then I took the COVID test. Now I don't have COVID. It was negative. And then like the next day the fever went away. So I don't know what the fuck that was about. I had a day long fever. I don't know what happened there.
It's almost like, what are the odds you would get sick from something else right now?
Yeah, I know. That would last a day. It was really strange, especially to have a fever that high. I don't know, but it was fucking miserable. The healthcare system sucks. And my dad was like saying that I should like out loud to no one except the family, like apologize to the medical facility. I was like, what are you what? Like, they're not God or Jesus. Like, why do I pay my penance to them? I didn't. Anyway, it's strange times. Not fun.
Well, whenever your pills are, you're on your last bottle, like your last refill, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I think what we need to do here is 2 weeks ahead of time. Circle that date on the calendar. That's when you're going in next time.
I'm usually very good about it.
Yeah.
What I need to do is find a real regular doctor that doesn't like gives me 6 months instead of this having to come in every 3 months bullshit. But that requires more effort in finding a doctor, and that is a whole other mess. But anyway, yeah, that's the state of things out there. It's bleak. And that's the state of my brain.
It's fortunate that you have an at-home COVID test, because having to go out and get one would be brutal right now.
Yeah, I would have had to go back to the place that gave me the COVID.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was strange. The at-home COVID test is like, you have to do like a little science experiment. Have you taken one?
I have not.
Yeah. Yeah, it's weird. You got to like do these little drops, which I accidentally sprayed like some of that on my face because the instructions say it's going to come in like a little dropper, but it kind of doesn't. You have to like twist this thing, and then the drops just kind of like explode everywhere, which I was not prepared for. Yeah, you got to do like a little experiment and then stick the thing up your nose and then stick the nose swab into the drops and wait.
I don't know if it's even possible to purchase those at the moment.
Yeah, that was the thing. I don't know where my mom had gotten them, but she came home with a bunch of them. So yeah, I heard it is difficult to find them now. Anyway.
So you're doing better now, it sounds like.
I'm doing okay now. Yeah, I'm back on my prescriptions, and I'm not currently threatening legal action against anybody.
But it's the context there. Like it's you can see how that happens. Like it's
yeah. This is pushed to the brink. Yeah. It was not good. So yeah, things are okay right now.
All right.
Anyway,
I'm happy to hear it.
So we haven't done dead letters in a little bit, and they've been piling up. Holy hell, they've been piling up. I don't know if somebody has like signed up one of the emails for some spam lists or something, but we have a bunch of them. Some of them are repeats, so I'm not going to do the repeats, but yeah, we have a whole ton of them.
I wait for the day that one of the dead letters is written by an actual person.
I know, right? Well, this one might be, you know what? I don't know if this one's not real, but this one comes in from Emma Grace Brown. Emma writes, "Hi, I'd love to write an article for your site on how to become your own marketing department. In the article, I'll break down common marketing terms like marketing channels and how to figure out which one to focus on, messaging, and the effectiveness of your marketing. What do you think? Would this article be a good fit for your website? If so, I'd like to get started on the draft as soon as possible and get the green light from you."
Wait, this is like the most reasonable one we've ever had.
I know, but I don't think it's real because I've gotten other emails like this before.
Okay.
But usually their name is like a jumble of bullshit. It's just that this one, like, they gave like a name that sounds real. But I don't.
Yeah, as far as spam goes, this is somewhat convincing.
Yeah, it's the most coherent one we've gotten.
I kind of want to hear their marketing tips.
I know, but it isn't a good fit for my website. Is the thing? It's not. It's unfortunate. This one comes from Craig Hag, which is one word.
Okay.
And they sent in a URL that is electricmobility.export/Jaguar plus Pace versus Tesla Model X. And they also sent in another one that's www.chiptuning.mk, which I think isn't chiptune like the music that is like it's like video game sounds, like you make music out of video game sounds.
Sure, if you say so.
I just really enjoyed Craig Hag. I want to say Craig Haig, but that's not what it is. It's Craig Hag. Yeah, something about that. It's always the rambler.ru emails. What is this one? There's so many. Jesus Christ. This one's from Kevin Rolsey. Kevin says, "Ultimate Chicken Horse free Steam key."
See, I've had that game on my wish list for so long.
Yeah?
Yeah. So if you want to pass me that link.
I might. It's giftminer.net, which is definitely not any kind of weird crypto miner.
No, it sounds reputable.
This one's from Glenn Ursumanen.
Didn't Chicken Horse win like the best narrative at the Game Awards a few weeks ago?
Maybe,
Yeah, best narrative game. I think so. I remember Jeff Keighley being very high on that one.
Yeah.
He's like, you guys are not going to believe this game when you play it.
Yeah, and he was looking down at his shoes when he said it. This one's from Glenn Mersonen.
I think Grimes did a song for Chicken Horse as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, she was featured. And then she performed that song at the Game Awards,
It still doesn't beat the Cara Cara Bonito one. So Glenn says, porn Photoshop.
Is that it?
And the website is sxn.today/anime.
To be fair, like that's really all you need. Like I'm hooked, you know?
Fuck. Let's see. Okay, this one comes in from Enums, and they say, "Hi, this is Jennifer. I'm sending you my intimate photos as promised." I don't remember making any sort of deals with it, Jennifer, for any intimate photos.
These better not be photoshopped.
They might be porn photoshopped. And there's a tiny URL link which I'm not clicking on. But
oh yeah, please don't be. I hate the fact that you're opening these emails to begin with.
Well, see, some of them come in through my contact form. So some of them are not direct emails. So the email's actually from my website, so it's okay. But that's some of the emails I do open. So yeah, that was Enums. Let's see. This one is from Erica Grow. Oh, this is another high quality post that they'll make for me. It just says they're going to do a 3-step process for an amazing topic, whatever that is. This one's from Anthony Bleds, which is also one word. And the website they gave is, what does that say? Santehelite.ru? Or is it Sante Helife? I don't know.
That's for you to figure out. I don't.
If I click on it, yeah. But I just like the name Anthony Bleds. It's like an old, like XX, like AIM address. Okay, there's so many of these. Holy fuck. Where are the, oh wait, maybe some of these are repeats.
Do you think porn Photoshop is like an untapped market?
How do you mean?
Like something we could like get into and like be sort of on the cutting edge, you know? I just don't hear about a lot of that, you know? Maybe that's like there's a need for something like that.
I think you could just use regular Photoshop, right? Why does it need to be porn specific? Like I bet you like Playboy uses Photoshop. Like I don't think they have a specific.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
And then you have the like the deep fakes, right?
Yeah, the deep fakes.
So you could have like a porn starring like Tom Cruise or something.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I was thinking of, was Tom Cruise.
Guy Fieri or
Yeah.
Yeah, those are the two that come to mind first for me.
Yeah, sexiest men alive is Tom Cruise and Guy Fieri. Actually, I was thinking of Tom Hanks because of the Polar Express, where they turned him into that 3D model.
So I mentioned porn deepfakes, and you went to a children's movie?
No, well, because he was an adult in that. It was
still a children's movie, though.
I understand, but they turned him into a 3D model.
Oh, okay.
You know? Mm-hmm. Because you know how they do like the Overwatch porn?
I mean... No, not really. No,
come on.
I mean, I assume something like that exists.
Yeah. But... So you know what? There's probably
well, no. Are you talking about like cosplay as Overwatch characters, or like actually animated?
No. Animated 3D Overwatch porn.
I see.
Yeah, and I'm sure there's also tons of cosplay porn.
Now, is that officially like made by Blizzard?
No, God no. Okay. Well, actually, you know what? Now I'm not so sure with all they're up to. Maybe that's side hustles for some of those creeps, but yeah. This got off the rails. This comes in from Joshua King /law firm, and Google says this message seems dangerous. So, dear friend, I ask for your pardon if my approach is offensive, as I never meant to invade your privacy through this means. And also, I believe this is the best and secure means I can pass my message across to you in clear terms. I have sent you this proposal before. Now, what? I do hope this will get you in good health, and if only he knew. I came across your contact via scrupulous search conducted by an IT specialist whom I have employed for this reason. I am Johnson King, in parentheses, Mr., and I... For some reason, that's very funny to me. I don't know why. And I promote this communication in my capacity as the principal attorney of my law firm. A deceased client, Henry Graves, died in 2014 and left the sum a little above US $28 million in his account here in Unity Bank PLC. Normally, banking procedure requires the bank to declare the account forfeitable. Is that a word?
In this world that we're living in here of your of your spam email account, yeah, I think that fits.
And transfer the proceeds to the Registry of Unclaimed Property for government use after 8 years from the time of his death. The present situation underscores my contacting you, given that you and my deceased client share the same name and nationality. Man, I didn't know that my last name was Graves. I am disposed to present you as the beneficiary and administrator of the account. It may also interest you to know the transaction will be executed with the parameters of the law. Nothing will be done outside of it. That's good to know. But anyway, it goes on. It's the usual scam where they said that they're going to give me $28 million if I give them all my banking information.
Wow, so a long-lost relative and a fortune to go along with it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I just think this one's funny because it's the most coherent one of those I've seen, but they're trying to use the most flowery language possible.
Mm-hmm.
And it is so over the top that it actually makes it super, super fake.
Yeah, it's like bad dialogue from a period piece or something.
It's very interesting that you mentioned that because I guess we'll get into that.
Oh no! Okay. Little teaser. What's to come?
Yeah.
I guess.
This one comes in from Lloyd, and their email address is lloyd@deadendroad.co, which is quite interesting because I don't.
Oh no! Are they trying to take my position?
They might be. They might be because I don't currently employ anybody named Lloyd. They say, ease your pain in 10 minutes effortlessly. Oh, that'd be nice. Be free from neck pain. Try Neck Flexor and relieve neck pain effortlessly in 10 minutes. Save 50% off and free worldwide shipping. Neckflexor.online. Merry Christmas and Happy New Year's. And then he signs off, Lloyd, Dead End Road, ideas with nowhere to go. So apparently...
That's our motto here, yeah.
Yeah, apparently I'm getting into the neck flexor business. And I wasn't aware.
Use code DEADEND at checkout.
Yeah, save 50% off and free worldwide shipping. Okay. This one, I can't read this one because it's in kanji. And this one is interesting because I believe it's the first email we've gotten to the actual video at DeadEndRoad.co address. And it comes from something in kanji, info@goku.jp. And the part that's in English, oh wait, actually, will it translate for me? Oh shit. Okay. Well, the top that was in English has heart emoji, and it says, Cindy is interested in your profile. Click here. Thank you for your inquiry. And then it says, the entered contents are as follows. The person in charge will reply to you with confirmation later, so please be patient. Okay. And then it gives their supposed contact information, and their email address is video@deadendroad.co. There's a phone number, their age of area of residence, and it's just a bunch of letters, and their age is a bunch of letters, and the message body is a bunch of letters. Okay, well, something tells me that Cindy's not going to reply. That's an interesting one.
This is such a bizarre world to be in here. The spam folder.
But isn't that exciting though? That's the first time that the video@deadendroad.co email address has been used. Well, normally all these other ones go to either my personal or the other email addresses. It
would be exciting if it was comprehensible and actually.
But we know it works. We know the email address works.
Well, I mean, we could have tested that out by me sending something. That's
sure,
not really
but
that much of a...
But now it's some kind of external spam bot. That's exciting.
It's something. It's not nothing.
Goku.jp.
Is that, Dragon Ball?
I think so. All right, that's it. That's all I got. I'm tapped out. That's your dead letters.
Okay.
To start the new year. Should we talk about a movie?
Yes, we should.
Okay. Would you like to set this one up?
You want me to?
Yeah.
Yeah, so we're going to continue covering movies from 2021 as we get closer to the, I don't know what to call it, the pinnacle of award season. Not really, because the Oscars, I don't know. it's tough to call the Oscars the pinnacle of anything nowadays. But Yeah, as we get through award season here, we're covering some notable films from the past year. This week we're talking about The Last Duel, directed by Ridley Scott, starring Jodie Comer, Adam Driver, Matt Damon, as well as someone I did not realize was in this movie until just this morning when I brought up the cast list. Ben Affleck.
Oh.
Did not recognize him.
Really?
Yeah. So yeah, this film takes place in the 14th century. It is documenting. Well, I should probably mention just off the top, a content warning here. This film centers around sexual assault, and so we will have to bring that up. It's pretty unavoidable here because it is like the central conflict of the film. So what it's doing is it's telling this story that takes place over a span of about 15 years or so, and it's telling it from the perspective of three different characters. You have Jodie Comer's character Margaret de Carouge, as well as her husband Jean de Carouge, who's played by Matt Damon. And then the perpetrator of the sexual assaults is played by Adam Driver. The character is Jacques Legris. And so the film takes place in 3 acts, and each act is telling the same story from the 3 different characters' perspectives. So this is a very interesting one for me, because on the one hand, there are moments in this film that I found to be extremely profound and intense and quite moving, actually, particularly in the third and final act. On the other hand, there are moments that felt like an after-school special. So like a very wide range there for me. Like just like some things really worked, some things didn't. I'm curious what you thought about this overall.
Yeah, it's an interesting one. I have to suspend disbelief because it's supposed to take place in the 1300s in France. And it's one of those movies that takes place in France, and everybody has very pronounced British accents. Even a French actress, for whatever reason, is very British.
Yeah.
Which is okay, sure, whatever. I guess to keep it consistent, but that's silly. And also, like, it's just kind of hard to compare. Like, just a few months ago, we had The Green Knight, which was taking place in a similar time, yet the language employed is so very different. Like what they're using here would not be out of place in like a I don't know, maybe like a Revolutionary War movie or like a Civil War movie. Like it is way too modern.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, going along with that, I'm a fan of Adam Driver. I think he's a very good actor. However, Adam Driver playing someone in the 14th century is nearly indistinguishable from Adam Driver in like Marriage Story.
I see what you're saying, but at the same time, like, his look is very much medieval for me. But the performance, I understand what you mean. But like, he looks like he is plucked from the Middle Ages.
I guess because I've seen him in so many things at this point, he's just Adam Driver, you know?
Sure, yeah. But yeah, like the language they use is just it was way too modern to fit the time period. So like for me, I really had to suspend my disbelief. But there were so many points where it really took me out of it. Like the way that the way that they talk about certain things is just like, there is no way that this is the way they talked about like sexuality or emotions. Like like that is not how they approach things in the Middle Ages whatsoever. Like this is not how Adam Driver would have talked to a clergyman at all.
I guess so. For me, that was not one of the problems I had with it. I think especially because the story has a lot of modern day parallels to it.
Clearly, this was meant to evoke Me Too era, parallels.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Especially during the middle act, I would say. Like the conversations between Adam Driver and Ben Affleck about how he's like going to proceed with basically getting away with the rape and the public perception of the rape. Like how he's going to proceed in court and how they're going to basically bury it. There was clearly modern messages being sent. So
I think for that reason, I was okay with the choice, and how the dialogue worked.
No, I think it needed to for what they were making. It's just for me, it was just hard to I had to get over. Like I had to suspend my disbelief is all.
Well, you had the same issue last week when we were watching Benedict Cumberbatch in Power of the Dog. You couldn't get past his his like cowboy accent.
Right. Yes. Well, at the same time, I think their accents were fine. I just think that their accents did not fit the time period.
Yeah.
Because like I said, like we had The Green Knight not too long ago, where like that script and that language was much more appropriate. Because even so, like that was not Middle English that they were using, but it still evoked the theme and the setting.
And nobody
much better.
To be fair, nobody wants a movie with Middle English.
You can't. Nobody would be able to understand it.
Right.
There's like literally, you would not be able to understand it. So yeah, no, that's not what I'm asking for. I'm not even asking for like Shakespearean, like because that would be off century as well. Like
the one thing I will say,
the
one thing that was a bit jarring for me because they are using this sort of modern language was when they did switch to like Latin. That was like out of place.
Yeah, it was just weird why they decided to, because it's like, okay, so you're not even pretending to have French accents in France, but then you're just being like, yes, Latin is the thing. Like I didn't understand. Like I know for a fact that Latin is the language of the church. So like mass would most likely be held in Latin. Like there's a lineage of the Latin mass being like the thing. So I understand that, but I just didn't understand why they would like whip it out in conversation. I didn't know what the purpose of that was.
Yeah, it was a bit jarring. It was like they were trying to, have both things work at the same time, where you have this sort of modern dialogue, but you also like sort of nod back to the time period, which didn't really mix.
Yeah, it only made sense whenever they were in the context of the church. But outside of that, I didn't get. I guess because they like made the actors learn some Latin phrases already, and so they just inserted it into some more scenes, so it didn't completely go to waste.
Yeah.
But I don't know. That did feel out of place.
But aside from like the language and everything, in terms of like the way this story was structured and just like the way everything played out, I'm curious maybe what worked for you, maybe what didn't.
So when we were in the second act, I felt okay with the fact that we were getting the two sides of the same story, right?
3.
But by the third act, and by the end, I kind of felt that, well, we didn't really need to see the same events again from the different perspectives. I felt that we didn't need to like repeat. I feel like those, like the scenes that we didn't see, like with Adam Driver and Ben Affleck, could have just been inserted chronologically. And so then we could have seen how everybody else saw Matt Damon's character as like a joke, even though he thought himself as this honorable, knightly, whatever the fuck he thought of himself. So I don't know if it completely worked by the end. It tried really hard to avoid being repetitive, right? By like not showing the exact same I guess like literal frames again,
Yeah.
But I still think that the movie could have like been told completely chronologically with those other perspectives inserted where they belonged, and we could have seen those perspectives and still gotten the full picture without needing to repeat like the timeline.
Yeah, so
if that makes sense.
Yeah, it does. And I agree with that. I think when you have this structure and you're telling the same story from three different perspectives, it implies that there's a lot of nuance there where you can explore the same thing three times and come away with something new each time and make it interesting all the way through. And I think in the third act, that is very true. I think in the first act provides a good contrast with the third one. I think the second act really drags and doesn't add much because I think the nuance just isn't really there for me. The second act, by the way, is the one from the perspective of Jacques Legris, the Adam Driver character, the one who he conducts the sexual assaults. I didn't get much out of that. I don't think there was much ambiguity or nuance.
No.
The rape was the rape, and telling it from his perspective didn't really add anything to it for me. Whereas, like, I thought what was more effective and more interesting was how the movie starts out with Matt Damon's character and how he thinks of himself in a very positive light as like the hero of his own story. Mm-hmm. And then when you get to the third act, you see all the ways that he has harmed his wife in ways that he does not even recognize, and how he is sort of this joke to everyone around him, and the stuff that he views as heroic is actually quite harmful. So that worked for me pretty well as a contrast. I think another problem with the second act is, like, I knew what the movie was doing at that point, and I knew that when we got to Margaret's story, that's the one that matters here. And so it's like, let me just get to that point, you know, like, let's just see that, because that's what actually matters.
Yeah.
Like, I appreciate what they tried to do and to set up here, but I don't think the nuance was there, at least in that middle act.
No, they it's not like they even attempt to put all that much doubt on the rape itself either.
Which also, if they had, would have been a big mistake too.
I think it would have too. So then it's like, okay, then it sort of just boils down to, all right, so then we see a rape twice.
Yes, absolutely. So,
because the only difference in perspective on the rape was that in the Adam Driver version, it's tough to say it because it is still 1000% a rape. Mm-hmm. It is only slightly more, even I'm going to say it and it's going to sound off, but like, it's slightly playful. And
no, that's the word that was on my mind too. That's the way they framed it. That is how the movie frames it.
Yeah. Because, like, she, like, maybe giggles for a second, but she is still screaming, no, no, and she's crying. Like, it is still 1000% a rape. There's no doubt whatsoever. But then in her version, it is so much more violent, you know, like, that is, like, the only difference. Otherwise, it is exactly the same. It is exactly the same, and we just see it twice.
Yeah, and so it's like, did we need to see it twice? Was there enough of a reason to have it happen twice? And I think the answer is no, unfortunately.
Right. Yeah. So the only other thing we get from the Adam Driver sequences is everything that was not already repeated, basically. Like, the only other thing we get is that he thinks that there was something more to his relationship with her, where there really wasn't a relationship. Like, he thinks that she is flirting with him, you know, that whole thing, when there's nothing there, you know, she's just being cordial and friendly. That is basically it. And then there's just all the scenes he has with Ben Affleck, which we would not have seen in the other characters' perspectives. That is the only thing we get in that entire, like, hour, basically, of Adam Driver. So yeah, I think that could have easily been folded in chronologically, and we did not need three different perspectives. Like, really, the movie just should have been told from Marguerite's perspective, and, you know, it would have been a movie. Like, I just think it's sort of like a hook to it, like this, you know, something snappy and unique to the movie when I don't know if it actually has the impact that it's looking for.
Yeah, I agree, because I mentioned like part of it feeling like an after school special, because the way it structures this movie, it's like it's almost like, instead of telling the story, it's like demonstrating the problem and like sort of like hitting you over the head with, here's what's wrong about this, rather than actually just like letting it play out and you coming to that conclusion yourself, because it's all there. If that makes sense. It's like, I just feel like we just did not need that second act. And for me, like, the third act was so good. The final hour of this movie was terrific. I was quite moved by it. I thought, like, yeah, this is based on a true story. This is definitely a piece of history that is well worth, telling. It does evoke so much, of modern day things that have happened, like, very recently. Like watching like this story, like, of course, the most high profile thing, and the thing that came to my mind was the Brett Kavanaugh hearings, because like, in this film you have a woman who is speaking out about being sexually assaulted, and nobody believes her, and she's being like humiliated by the court, and the people hate her, and also the entire, like, all of her like agency and power in the situation has been stripped from her, because her husband has chosen to take it to a duel to the death, and that decides her fate for her.
Right.
So, my mind went back to, like, Dr. Blasey Ford testifying in front of the Supreme Court, and the fact that she then had to go live in a secret place for a time because her life was being threatened. She was receiving death threats, and her family was receiving death threats. And then at the end of it all, you have Brett Kavanaugh, who rises to the highest court position in the country, and is now a determining factor on topics like abortion and other things that impact women. And so the parallels are pretty obvious, right? But they're there, and I found it to be pretty effective.
Yeah. I think that as a whole, it is really effective. I don't know if where was I gonna go? If like we needed to wait so long to get to that third act.
Yeah. See, the way I was gonna. When I was thinking about how we were going to discuss this, I was going to frame it as like, yeah, this movie's 2.5 hours long. And in my opinion, you can get some of the most powerful moments in film that I've seen all year. It's just, you have to wait about 90 minutes to get there.
Yeah.
And that's kind of unfortunate. But that's the way it was structured.
Right. Yeah. Great performances.
Oh yeah. Ridley Scott was a little bit unhinged during his like press tour / podcast tour this fall. I found it kind of funny where he was like, yeah, that newcomer Jodie Comer, she's terrific.
Oh,
it's like, yeah, she's only been starring in TV shows for the past decade.
Yeah.
But yeah, she was outstanding.
Oh yeah.
Like, honestly, like, I've seen some of the criticism of this film. It's like basically saying how it lacked nuance, and it's like telling the story and it's sort of acting like it's the first one to do this, in a way. Like, it's like sort of, look at how important this story is. We, see it from this perspective, all that stuff. But it's like, even Jodie Comer starred in this Star series called The White Queen, I believe. And there's like 3 different offshoots of it. And it's like history. It's like a deeply feminist show, and it's like history from perspective of women in court and stuff. And it's like, yeah, so like, in a way, this film is not doing anything new, even though it seems like it wants to be, if that makes sense. I don't know.
I don't know. I didn't really get, like, it didn't seem like the movie was very like full of itself or anything to me. Like it didn't seem gratuitous, or if anything, like some of the battle scenes kind of were, but like they were engaging enough. But yeah, I didn't really get that impression. I do have to mention I really like the little boy king.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, every time he was on screen, I don't know, I just enjoyed that a lot.
Honestly, like I was more focused on the queen next to him. Because he's having these like incredibly immature reactions to what's going on in front of him, and she's just horrified and like really trying to hide it, you know? Like she's just trying to like maintain her composure, but she's like holding his hand and like trying to reel him in, and also kind of disgusted and humiliated and horrified. Yeah. And it's quite something. It was quite like they weren't on screen much, but they had a really interesting dynamic. That was really smart.
Mm-hmm. The duel itself was really something.
Mm-hmm.
Like the way that there was no score whatsoever. Well, until like the very last bit, but like it is shot in this super violent way, and you hear every little crowd reaction to anything that goes on, because it's turned into a spectacle. But where like as if it was just a regular old tournament, you know, instead of the legal proceeding that it is, where the fate of not only at least one man's life hangs, but like like a woman's life is in the balance too. And it's just like, this is just a regular old, you know, jousting tournament. You just hear every crowd reaction to, oh, he's off the horse. Oh, you know, like every gasp, it was just.
And every time it cuts back to Margaret was very effective.
Mm-hmm.
Because that's what's on your mind the entire time, you know? And then after the duel, too, like the immediate aftermath of it and how the crowd turns back around on Margaret and Sir John, right? But it's like, it's a very like grimy and gross feeling because like, you know, the context of what's happening here. And it's like incredible that this is how things are played out in the courts, and how someone's reputation can change based on something so absurd. Like the recurring argument of how a woman cannot conceive if she does not experience pleasure, and therefore cannot conceive if she's been raped. That was, I'm assuming, a real thought process back then, which was
not even back then. Not even back then.
Oh.
Unfortunately.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I mean, I was going to say, like, this is, you know, 14th century, but then you think about how much things have changed, and, well, you know, maybe they're slightly less violent in some ways, but, you know, overall, the progress just isn't where you want it to be.
Yeah, but it's like you think of the court of public opinion, and then it's like,
yes,
you have this dude being paraded around, like, holding the knife aloft that he used to kill the dude, you know? And then it's like the Adam Driver character, like, literally clinging to his last breath that he didn't rape her. And it's like, really? Like, it's just everything. It's like, yeah. The whole last act was really good.
Yeah, totally. So yeah, a bit of an interesting one when it comes to like, would you recommend it or not? Because, you know, like we said, that last act I think makes the entire movie worth it. But your mileage might vary on what comes before.
Yeah, I would almost say, like, if you're interested to maybe approach it like a mini series, right? Like, see it as, you know, 3 episodes of a mini series. If you don't want to sit down and watch the whole thing at once, which I was able to do basically without issue. It went fair, like, you know, quickly for me. It's definitely not a slog or anything like that. It's just, I do think that the second act is pretty superfluous. So, because like it does have hard cuts. Like, it's, okay, here's part 2. You know, here's part 3. So like, if you do need to, you know, have stopping points, the film gives you clear stopping points. So
yeah, and they're actually each like around what you would expect from the length of a TV episode. They're like 45 minutes to an hour each.
Yeah. So I think, I don't know, part of me almost thinks it might have been a mini series, but
yeah, that's how they do them in the UK, right? 3 episodes.
I think so. Yeah.
So yeah, it could have been. I mean, looking back at the box office numbers, it might have been a better idea, because this movie cost $100 million to make, and
another one of these.
Yeah, right. That seems to be I guess these are like pre-pandemic deals that were made in a more like optimistic time. But it maybe made back 20-something million internationally, globally, actually, including the US.
But this was not like a blockbuster, you know? Like, this is not...
Well, in terms of how much it cost to make, it certainly was.
Yeah, but like...
Yeah,
This
so
is
it ended.
not-
It made 10 million at the U.S. box office, and globally it ended with 27 million. So less than a third of what it cost to make. So that's a bomb in any by any standard.
This was not like, you know, a blockbuster period war movie, you know? Like this is a period drama about rape.
Mm-hmm.
Like that does not make a killing at the box office under normal circumstances.
Yeah, it is star-studded though, and it has an acclaimed, a very popular director, and
Still.
yeah, no, I see what you're saying. I think there are factors here that are at play different from what Ridley Scott has attributed to this. You probably saw like the headlines. He was on like Mark Maron's podcast, and he decided to blame the millennials for the failure of this film.
Okay.
Basically complaining about how well, I have a quote here. And it doesn't entirely make sense. Maybe if you heard the rest of the conversation, it would make more sense. But he says, I think what it boils down to, what we've got today are audiences who were brought up on cell phones, millennial who do not ever want to be taught anything unless you're told it on a cell phone. Then he starts to say something about Facebook, which I don't fully understand.
Okay.
So
yeah, you know all those millennials on Facebook.
Yeah, it's almost like he's just like, I don't really know. Honestly.
If anything, millennials are the audience for this one.
I agree. Yeah, I agree.
This is the A24 crowd. This is not the make $100 million back at the box office crowd.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I do wonder if it had A24 expectation. Well, it wouldn't have cost $100 million to make.
Well, yeah.
But yeah. I mean, hey, it had a big budget and it looked great. It was a very good looking movie, very well directed. Like you said, those action sequences were quite something.
Yeah. It looked great, and I couldn't even download the 4K version because I was having trouble. So
yeah,
it looked great at 1080p.
Mm-hmm. So that was that.
Yeah.
I think it's worth a look for sure. I do think ultimately the good outweighs the somewhat, I won't say bad, but somewhat unnecessary. Yeah.
Just a little bloated, I think.
Mm-hmm. So as for
I think it just seems that they were like set on that 3-act structure, and then maybe didn't have the right material to fulfill it, but they were hard set on it, so they just stuck with it. But
yeah, it could be. So as for next week, I was thinking, and this is one of my most anticipated movies that came out in 2021. I think we're gonna go with Spencer, directed by Pablo Larraín, starring Kristen Stewart. It's the Princess Diana haunted house / like ghost story / character study.
have you seen this one yet?
I have not. I've been holding off.
Okay.
Mostly because I didn't want to spend the $20 on the rental when it first came out, and then I figured, okay, we could probably cover it on the show, so I'll just wait a little bit. But I think it's down to that regular rental price now. So. But yeah, I'm very excited. I love Pablo Larraín's films. He directed Jackie, that really fascinating biopic with Natalie Portman. He directed Emma, not to be confused with the Jane Austen story, but this was like a
just all the dead princesses.
Right. Yeah. No. This was a really stylish and quite brilliant like ode to like reggaeton and motherhood and all sorts of things. It was a terrific movie. And then, Kristen Stewart's one of my favorite actors. My favorite movie of hers, was also a ghost story. Personal Shopper is one of my favorite one of my favorite movies, period. So I'm excited to see her turn here, which I've heard a lot of really good things about. It seems like a very unconventional sort of biopic as well, which is what I would expect from Larraín. You're not getting anything by the numbers with him, which is great. So nice. Spencer, we'll be talking about that next week.
All right, sounds good. So what's this KitKat thing?
Oh yeah, this is old. This is from like 2016, but I was watching a Twitch stream the other day, and this was brought up on it. I don't know if you've ever seen this. It kind of went viral like back when it came out, but Kourtney Kardashian has this interesting way of how she eats certain things. In this case, it's a KitKat bar.
Okay.
So when it comes from Kourtney Kardashian, you can kind of like pass it off as just like being like quirky. In fact, I think that's like what the video is called. It's like Kourtney's Quirks or whatever. But on the other hand, like it's kind of like serial killer vibes here. So I don't know. There's a video. I don't know if you've seen this or not.
No, I have not.
But I think it's worth it.
I hope I don't get this on my white couch. I am gonna show you guys something that Kim taught me. I think we were like 7 and 8. How to eat a Kit Kat, and it's pretty life-changing. First of all, it makes you eat less because you're eating it so slow. It's kind of melted. So first you break off the piece, like one piece, and then you eat the chocolate off the end and the other end. Uh-oh. I ate too much. You're not supposed to eat the crunchy part yet. Then,
you know, I gotta say,
chocolate.
if we just pause for a second.
Uh-huh.
Hearing this just as the audio version, this is kind of like some subtle ASMR. I don't mind this as much. It's a little horrifying when you're actually watching it, though. Sorry, continue.
Do you get into the ASMR at all?
Yeah, I used to be more into it than I haven't really been listening to much of it lately, but I do enjoy ASMR in general.
Okay.
Why? What about you?
I've never given it like an earnest attempt. But it just kind of weirds me out.
Oh, really?
Yeah, like, but I don't know, just like the concept, but
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah, I like ASMR. I do not like the food variation of it. I guess is like mukbang, I think is the name of it. Because I have an issue.
Because you have the mouth sounds, right?
Yeah, I have that, so that doesn't quite work for me.
I was gonna say, because like, how does that like dovetail with the like the close up, like the like that kind of shit?
Yeah, that's not a problem for me.
Huh.
Yeah, it's kind of like, for me, it's kind of like specific to the situation. Like, it depends, basically.
Okay.
Some things bother me, some things don't.
Okay. And then you pull the top layer off and eat that. And by the way, this tastes so much better. Like, I would never even dream to eat a Kit Kat and just like bite it into it. Okay, then you separate it again. You eat the bottom piece. And then the best part of the whole Kit Kat is the middle piece. So then you eat this middle piece, which is so good. And that's it. And that's how you eat a Kit Kat. And I guarantee you, if you do that once, you will never eat a Kit Kat any other way.
Okay. You said that this is like serial killer shit. This is like if you are a serial killer of Kit Kats.
Yeah, because she's like dissecting it.
Yes, and playing around with it like a cat plays with a mouse. Like, this is horrifying. Kit Kats are my favorite candy.
Oh, no.
So
I didn't know that.
to see somebody take it apart into every little base component, like they're dissecting it like Geralt the Witcher dissects a wyvern, is oh my God, man. Just eat it.
It's such a small piece of candy to begin with.
Right.
That it's just absurd what she's doing with it.
Just eat it. And she said something like, you get more Kit Kat this way. No, you don't. No, you don't. It's the same amount. It's the same amount of candy.
I think the one concept that does make sense to me in this is that you're eating it slower so that you're less likely to eat more, because you're sort of like, right? Because if you eat something slower, then you sort of like trick yourself into being like full faster or satisfied like, you know, by eating less. So that makes sense to me. But
that makes opposite sense to me, because if I have like a small bite of something, then it like triggers in my stomach like, oh, now you're like actually hungry because now you have something in there. So it's like, oh, give me the rest.
No, but it's like you're taking longer to consume it. So you're tricking yourself into thinking that you have had more than you actually have.
Okay, fine. Even if that's the case, you can take small bites of the Kit Kat. You don't need to eviscerate it.
Yeah. It's like it's so methodical to a point where it's like, how, like, and I realized like she said they were like 8 years old or whatever when they first, and this makes all the sense in the world for somebody who's like 8 years old. But like to still be doing it now is just like there's something a little bit off-putting about it. Mm-hmm. And by the way, the stream I was watching this, they were sort of going into this, and there's a separate video where she teaches you how to eat a Reese's cup.
Oh God, no! That's also my like second favorite candy. Like those are the top two.
So luckily for you and everybody, that one's a little bit harder to find because you might have seen at the end of this video there's a Courtney app that's being promoted.
Oh God.
Well, the Reese's video is exclusive. Yeah, it's exclusive to the Courtney app, which I'm not even sure exists anymore.
Paid-walled Reese's tips.
Yeah, there's like a preview of it on YouTube, but you can't see the whole thing.
Oh my God.
But I heard that one is also quite life-changing.
Who is paying for this shit?
Oh, I don't know if you have to, you might not have to pay, you might just have to download the app, but that was a step too far for me. I'm not going that far.
Sure. Yeah. Oh my God. How could I don't want to know. How could you break down a Reese's cup?
Yeah, that's the thing. Like I was a little bit curious. But not to the point where I'm going to download the. I'm not sure that the app even exists anymore. Like, this is like 5 years ago. So
yeah,
I'm
there
late
was
to
that
this
whole wave
one.
of like every celebrity needed an app for some reason. Mm-hmm. Some marketing team convinced every celebrity that they needed an app.
The only celebrity off the top of my head that I think deserves an app and it makes sense to have an app is Oprah.
That's because she sells all that shit.
Yeah, because she's like basically an organization on her own. Yeah, like she's like a whole thing that she's built like by her name on her own. So
yeah,
it makes
she's
sense
got the
for
channel.
Her.
She's got the magazine. She's got the
book club. Yeah,
yeah.
But I don't know if anybody else needs an app.
There was the Jeremy Renner app. There was that whole thing. Oh, God.
Now, did that did the proceeds of that app go towards like his child support payments?
I guess in a roundabout way, yeah. It went to him. So, yeah, there was a whole thing because there was like open comments, so people were just like trolling them.
Oh my.
Yeah, it was a whole thing. Oh boy.
Well, see, had I known that KitKats were your favorite, I wouldn't have brought this up. I would have let you be blissfully ignorant of this. Yeah.
just bite into a KitKat.
It's okay though.
But like, just bite into a KitKat.
It's okay though because you haven't actually done it. See, according to Courtney, once you eat one like this, you'll never be able to go back. So as long as you don't actually do it yourself, you'll be okay.
It just seems really messy.
Oh yeah, no, I'm someone who has to hold on to the wrapper, while I'm eating a candy bar. So I can't be doing this. I can't be.
Yeah, I don't go that far, but that just seems like really messy to like take off the tiny little bits of chocolate off the end. Like, come on.
Let's just call it what it's sadistic.
It is.
Let's just call it what it is.
It is. If KitKats had souls, like what? Oh, Christ.
Like, this could have been an entry into our Horror Harvest series back in October. Like, this would have been perfect.
Yeah. The way you don't really need to see the video, but like the way she's like staring at the camera as she's like peeling off the layers of this KitKat. Yeah. Yeah. It's horrifying. Oh my God. So I do want to bring up a sort of philosophical question before we maybe wrap things up.
Oh, all right.
Now, if I replace every component of my computer, is it still the same computer I started with?
Oh, that is like one of the like foundational, like something that you are taught in like 101 courses for philosophy.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like one of the big questions.
Yeah. So what are your thoughts?
So literally everything?
Let's see. So I've going back, it'll be almost this summer, it'll be 2 years since I first built the computer. I have replaced the graphics card, the processor. I have just replaced the cooler. I've replaced the case. I'm about to replace the RAM.
What about the motherboard?
Okay, so it's the same motherboard. It's the same model, but it's not the same motherboard. So,
okay, that's tricky then, because I honestly, like, I don't know a lot about computer, like technical stuff with computers, but I would, if I had to like liken it to a person, I would say the motherboard is sort of like the heart of the computer.
Yeah.
And so for me, if the motherboard stays the same, I think you have the same computer.
Okay, interesting.
Yeah.
So, but how do you figure that it's not the exact same motherboard I started with, but it's the same model, like it's the same type? Is that like a heart transplant?
It's like a heart transplant, and because it's the same type, I would just say it's. I think. Ooh, it's tricky.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's tricky. But what do you think? I mean, you've clearly been contemplating this.
I have, and this is just of a psychopath I am.
Did you ask anybody in line at the doctor's office?
No, I think I was ranting and raving about how they're about to kill me and strap me down or something. To concern other people with the machine minds and the machine hearts.
You start yelling computer. The motherboard is a soul.
Yeah. If I started talking about how my computer's talking to me, they might be. You might not have seen me again. I'm leaning towards it being a completely different computer than what I started with. But the motherboard is the tricky part, because it's the exact same one. It's just not the one I started with. That one I sold on eBay. Yeah, so it's a tough call. It's a tough call. I don't know. Well,
okay, so if you like factory reset a computer. Mm-hmm. Is it still the same computer?
I would say so. Like say you lost your memory.
Yeah.
Are you still you?
Right. I think so.
Because so I've also changed the SSDs. Mm-hmm. I got new SSDs, but I cloned them.
Oh God.
I literally cloned them, so I didn't have to reinstall Windows or anything. So now we're getting.
Does your computer like how computers have like a like an ID number or whatever, or like a serial number that you like register it with?
Yeah.
Does this one have a different one now?
Actually, it does, because that's tied to the motherboard, and whenever I did that swap, I needed to get a new copy of Windows.
See, yeah, now I'm leaning towards different computer. Because that's like your name, right? That's like your name. That's like your identity. But then again, a person can change their name and their identity and still be the same person.
Right.
So, oof.
See,
man.
this is very tricky. Write in to video@deadendroad.co.
Well, we're starting the new year off with the big questions.
We are. Yeah. I do think I have gone overboard in replacing the components.
Well, that I don't doubt.
Because now the cooler that I have, I'll have to send you a picture. The cooler that I have has an LCD screen on it. So my computer now has a readout that can tell me vital information about itself, or I could play a looping GIF. So there's that, and now I have new RAM coming in today, actually. And actually, like, the cooler is so good that my computer most times is cold to the touch.
Oh wow!
Which is something. So I believe this iteration will be static for a good long while yet. Yeah, I've lost my mind.
No comment. Which I know is not a good thing to say on a podcast, but that's kind of where I'm at.
Shit. Is that a show? Did we do a show?
Yeah, before we leave, though, I did just want to mention in the film world, Jean-Marc Vallée passed away this week, or I guess last week when you were listening to this. He is a famous director, made some of my favorite shows of the past decade. He directed the entirety of Sharp Objects, the HBO series starring Amy Adams.
So good.
Oh, incredible. He also directed the first season, the superior season of Big Little Lies. And it's a tragic loss. He was only 58, and clearly well respected in the industry. A lot of people that worked with him spoke out this week. I just want to mention it. I loved his work so much. I thought his style was like so unique to him and very like distinct. Like you knew you were watching a Jean-Marc Vallée like production when you were like in Sharp Objects and Big Little Lies especially, like the way he would convey like memory through like flashing images and flashbacks and all that. It was just, he was so effective and so good at that. Like just like diving deep into like the psychology of a character through images, which is like one of the coolest and most effective things you can do in film, I think. So yeah, I really loved his work. He was a great director, and it was really sad news.
Yeah, that the adaptation of Sharp Objects is remarkable. The way that it's able to transform the novel into like onto the screen in a way that is like it is a translation in like the purest sense, where it feels so much like the novel but native to the screen. It is really remarkable what they did there.
Yeah, it's the definition of, and I know this is like, you know, like the most fundamental thing seemingly, but it's hard to do sometimes, which is show don't tell. You know, that's like what his style is all about. And he was terrific. And of course his work is going to live on. Makes me want to rewatch Sharp Objects, which I haven't done in a long time. So So yeah, I just thought that was something I wanted to mention.
All right. I think that's going to do it for us. Thank you so much for listening. We really do appreciate it. As always, you can follow me on Twitter at DeadEndRoad. Check out the Facebook, facebook.com/DeadEndRoadTV, twitch.tv/DeadEndRoadTV. Do a YouTube search for DeadEndRoadTV, and send us anything at video@deadendroad.co, including Goku.jp links, and let me know if my computer has a soul or not. You could also check out our 2021 Spotify playlist that we mentioned last week, some of our favorites from last year. I'll put the link in the description on the pod feeds and in the YouTube video.
Yeah,
that out.
You know, I was looking back on the handful of tracks that I sent you to add to that playlist, and I'm like, ooh, these are among my favorite songs that came out this year, but they are bummers. Like, they are just like, this is not like an upbeat, happy playlist, but I guess that's fitting with the year 2021. So
sure, yeah. But yeah, all right. We will see you next week with hopefully some more upbeat topics. But who knows?
No guarantees there.
No guarantees. All right. See you next time.